Well, it's time to share Papa's Garden. This is a book for myself. It's about my dad and his garden as we grew up. I wanted to share, I'm handmade this embroidery. I made like a little garden on here. Didn't know how to make it flat, so I tried to make it like rows, and then it's kind of like a build-up garden. But we have cucumbers and, beets, radishes, squash. I have some green onion, carrots, and lettuce, and tomatoes, and corn. So I hand stitched this all on a seed bag. Oops. I hand stitched this little flower garden. I kind of wanted to mix the flower and the vegetable garden because the vegetable garden was kind of my dad's thing, and the other flower garden was my mom's thing. So my dad ate an apple every day. It seemed to keep the doctor away. He lived to be 93. And on the back of each one of these, I have written how to plant and take care of vegetables. So I had sweet potatoes. I put this stencil on and dyed over it. It kind of looked like dirt to me, so I thought I would use that. This is an actual picture of my dad's garden here. I'll move up just a little bit. This is an actual, I have a little kitty cat coming, but other than that, we had blackberries and Dad had strawberries. There's cucumber over here. I did a little cucumber. My mom did pickles, the bread and butter pickles. I made a little leather gloves here, and this says garden, and some boots. And my dad actually did not like cucumbers, but he always had cucumbers. I've left room to write and left room to put things, so there's a pocket here and a pocket up here, of course. And this is a 1957. Well, I knew it would leave me. You guys know what it is. Anybody that's been around in the olden days. This just was something cut out of a magazine. I have a few little tracks going through the garden. Yellow squash was one of my dad's favorite things to make. I always took pictures of his garden, so I thought I'd put my camera in there. Didn't have anywhere else to put it necessarily. Whoops. Got me stuff on here. But I made this little bird. Thought it was pretty on the fence. Peas, I did gesso over these, and then I watercolored back over the top of them and tried to make some of them look like the same vegetable that was there. This is my favorite page. I made a tomato cage, and then I made it look like dirt down here with the different fibers. So the tomato comes out, and then I have tomatoes behind it. And again, I wrote on the back how to do garden, how to play garden. Farmer's Almanac, that's what that's called. This is a picture of my dad. He had muscadines as he was, I don't know, probably 70, 80 here. But he had this huge muscadine thing here. And if you don't know what muscadines are, they're kind of a wild grape. He was so proud of his muscadines. This is some little apples to coordinate with the apples over here. We have some beans or peas. Lily of the Valley was one of my mom's favorite. There was always deer in the garden, so I added the deer. This is just a seed packet that was a freebie, so I thought I'd add it for an extra pocket space. I kind of lightly went over so we could have tomatoes in the tomato patch. When we had peas, now Dad didn't ever grow these kind of peas, but they were so pretty. I couldn't leave them alone. So more tracks, raccoons. Here we have squash, another one of the squash pictures, and a little bird here. This is one of my second favorite pages. I used this ribbon here, and I used eyelash trim, and I cut it off halfway to make grass. And my mom had hollyhocks, so I tried to make it look like hollyhocks. A little bird sitting up on the top of it. Another picture of my dad out in his cornfield. There's a deer, because there was always deer in his cornfield. And I called him Papa Bear, so that's why I have Papa everywhere. I couldn't fit Papa Bear on the front, or I would have. And there's more. This was the page of the sweet potatoes on the front there. Dad had his own little fruit stand my whole life, so I found a picture of a fruit stand. This was not, of course, his, and he didn't have jellies and jams, but the baskets and everything, you know, reminded me so of what it was. And there's green beans there, and I just added in a few little extras here. We got some peas, and you know, my grandpa kind of had one of these red trucks actually, and he would take it to the top of the mountain to sell his wares back in the day. Watermelons. Dad always had watermelons in his garden, and he loved pecans more than anything. He ate them pretty much every day up until he didn't have his teeth anymore. And zucchini, he never liked zucchini, but he always had zucchini because he knew that would bring in the rest of the you know, people to buy his other vegetables. Just a mixed match. Okra was my favorite. He always had okra. Loved okra. Potatoes. Man, digging potatoes, what fun. Little bunny tracks. Here's a picture of him tying up his tomatoes, getting ready. And of course the Papa Bear. Here's a mushroom. I always had mushrooms in my garden. I don't remember him having too many in his, because he knew how to take care of it. He passed away on Thanksgiving, so this was the ribbon from his funeral. Here he had blackberries growing up. We always had blackberries, and always went and had to go pick the blackberries with Mom. Asparagus, he always grew asparagus behind it came up freely, but he kept it going because we loved it so much. He didn't really care for it too much. And some different tracks here. I made a little potato sack. I don't know if you can see the thickness of it, but I made it squishy like it was a potato sack. He always had green peppers for my sister, so got how to make that on the back. He had a rake like this when I was growing up. I always thought it was the prettiest thing to take a picture of. He always had strawberries, so this is the strawberry page here. I made it look like it was a little basket of strawberries. I hand wove this out of raffia, and then I just got some strawberries from the magazine and put it behind and had it overflow into the front view of there as well. There's more of the same. He loved his turnips. That was the last thing in the garden. Always had the last thing in the garden. And then on this last page, I kind of brought in a little bit of Mom here. Oops, sorry. This was like looking out the kitchen window, and I tried to put a tree there. Somebody had given me this in a rack, and I just have had it for a long time, so I decided to stick it in that pocket. Made a little butterfly out of fabric here, and Mom always had irises in her garden, so we put irises in this one as well. There's an owl over here, a little owl charm. This was real easy to make, so I like adding them in my thing. And then the back is just part of the feed sack. It's a beautiful feed sack with a lot of texture and everything. So that's Papa's garden book, all complete, except for one missing kitty cat. So thanks for joining me. Remember, your day is full of choices, so choose joy.